It is all sorts of active out here in the tropics today. In fact, across the western Pacific, we have Saudel located just towards the southeast of Hainan, towards the west of the Philippines, right about there on the map. If you're unfamiliar with the geography out here, Okinawa back here towards the north, you're actually being impacted by a little bit of a front there. And then we have this guy just towards the north of Palau. That is our latest tropical depression, likely will be named Molave by the Japan Meteorological Agency right now, Quinta by Pagasa out here. They do put out different names on these tropical systems for those of you unfamiliar with the Western Pacific. It is something I have contested about for years. I think it just adds to confusion, but that's all only my humble opinion. Anyway, so here's our two systems. Here's that front, and this is the key thing you want to keep in mind. Look at this high pressure ridge. The Siberian high actually starting to ridge in from the north as we head into these colder seasons. This is located here, and then you have the retreating Westpac high. That overall ridge right in there is keeping everything moving on a westerly projection, and thus Philippines and Vietnam get more rainfall. Anyways, I am meteorologist Robert Speta. Please do follow me on all of these social media platforms if you are not. I do try to put out as many updates as I possibly can in all of those scenarios. Anyways, let's first talk about our latest tropical depression out here. This is towards the east of the Philippines. This is actually Palau. Right about there, you have Yap right there, just kind of giving you an idea of where we are. And you do have a pretty defined center of circulation. And anytime I talk about these tropical systems, I always say we have to wait for a center of circulation to develop before models really kind of get a good idea. And that's exactly what is happening out here. We're starting to see that circulation. We do have good inflow coming in from the south. There is convection starting to become a little more robust. Sea surface temperatures in this area are high. I mean, we're upwards about 30 degrees Celsius, about 86, 87 degrees Fahrenheit. That is enough to add fuel to the fire here and cause intensification. Here's a look at that track, though, moving off towards the north and west, kind of on the western side of that high pressure ridge back here towards the north. And that means we're going to be seeing likely a landfall in southeastern Luzon on Legazpi or northern areas of Sumar out here as this comes on shore. Big issue, though, this area has been hit by back-to-back tropical systems, and that means we're going to be looking at that threat of some flooding. Rainfall on top of rainfall negates the chance of flooding and landslides. Actually, some areas as much as 400 to 500 millimeters as this comes on shore. Just a tremendous amount of precipitation on already saturated grounds. This is what I'm talking about, by the way. Since mid-September, we had Tropical Storm Noel, Tropical Storm Linfa, Tropical Storm Nanka, Tropical Depression Ophel, and now Saudel. All of these moved across the Philippines, and then we're going to be talking about our next storm system coming on shore. I mean, six storms in just over a month. It actually, a little surprised this is not being talked about more in the sense that this just, I have to look up the records because this has to be some sort of record breaking as far as the amount of storm systems. Now, what caused this? A lot of people could argue it's La Nina. I do think that has a lot to do with it, those added sea surface temperatures and just that monsoonal flow. Anyway, Saudel, also pretty robust in convection, but here's the thing. I did label this. People have been talking about and commenting. They just don't know the geography, so I'm trying to point out these locations a little bit more. That's Hainan towards the northwest. That's Saudel, of course. And here's the thing. Shear is tearing this apart on the northern periphery. So even though it's a pretty robust storm system right now, based on Dvorak analysis, these upper level winds associated with the jet stream dipping down and moving across the southern areas of Japan, thus you have that front back here towards the east, that is going to continue to kind of just tear this apart on its northern periphery, and thus we will see it continue to weaken. This is a track from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. It's a large, robust system now, but you can see the winds 75 down to 16. By the time it comes on shore, it will be a tropical storm. And the key thing is the moisture load will continue to drop off a bit here. Why do I mention that? Well, if we see that moisture load drop off, I mean, the flood threat is still there, but it's not as intense. Besides in Luzon, though, flooding definitely going to be a big issue. And the tropics continue to remain active, by the way, as we go ahead even into November. At long-range models, it just doesn't it doesn't let up. It's fairly relentless, unfortunately. So stay safe out there, guys. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please let me know down in the comment box below. And as always, of course, stay safe out there.